People always ask me, what is the best way to get started in real estate? If you're wondering the same, it really depends on a few things. Your goals, and your financial situation, because both of these factors influence where you can get started and how soon. Let me explain. Comparing rentals versus flipping is easiest using 4 categories: risk, return, money required to start, and time required. Risk. Rentals are less risky than fix and flips because you have tenants paying you rent every month. With money coming in every month, you're able to pay the mortgage on it and make some cash flow. You are usually buying properties in decent condition that only need cosmetic fixes like new carpet and new paint, so there are often no big surprises. If you flip houses, you might have to make monthly payments to your investor, and you have no tenant paying you every month to make up for it. You keep the house for only a little bit of time, however, using the final profit to pay for these things. Usually, you are buying distressed properties that need work, and oftentimes there can be surprises like foundation problems, mold, or asbestos in the house that you didn't know about that cut into your budget and profit margins. In either type of investment, a good contractor and inspector can catch any surprises before you purchase to avoid these issues in the first place. Even though there's more risk in flipping, with risk comes more reward. Return. Like I explained in my last video, Stocks vs. Real Estate, it's very easy to find a rental at 12% return if you pay all cash, but if you leverage your money, you can be making 20% a year. On a typical fix and flip, I only buy properties that return 20% on money invested when I sell. Each one will only take me 4 to 6 months, so I can typically do 2 to 3 per year. So that return annualized is 40 to 60% with an average of 50%. So 20% versus 50%, flipping is the clear winner. Money required. Flipping is possible to do with 0 of your own money down, while rentals usually require your own cash or credit. The reason this works is because you can find investors to fund your fix and flip because they know it will make a high return fairly quickly. But they don't want to manage the contractors and manage the project themselves. With rentals, however, most investors know that they could easily purchase that property themselves, find a property manager, and keep all the profits without splitting it with you. Usually in these kinds of deals, the numbers don't even make sense to use an investor. Let's look at dollar amounts though. If we compare 2 properties you buy at $100,000. With a rental, you purchase at $100,000, put $10,000 down, and you have a mortgage loan out for $90,000. Once you have good, reliable tenants in your property paying you rent, you generate around $2,000 annually after paying a property manager, maintenance, and saving for a 1-month vacancy to be safe. That's where the 20% comes from. Putting $10,000 down and making $2,000 a year is nothing to get excited about if you're in the rat race and you want to get out and quit your job to have a better lifestyle. But if you had multiple houses, it could start to add up and be a very good retirement plan. With the house you flip, you purchase at $100,000 and the house needs $30,000 in renovations. In order to get the $130,000, I can usually find an investor to give me around 90% or $115,000 on this type of property, and one small investor for the remaining $15,000. I need 2 because the big investor doesn't want to be the only one with skin in the game. After rehab, it will be worth $180,000. And when I sell for $180,000, $12,000 goes to realtors and closing costs, and I'm left with $38,000 in profit. But I don't get to keep all of it. In order to borrow money like on any loan, my investors charge interest, usually anywhere from 10 to 12%, and it also involves a payment up front. For the $15,000 investor, it might be a friend or a local investor that has some cash, and you might pay them 10% or $1,500 over 6 months to hold their money for that time. So you're left with a little over $27,000 in profit, and you put 0 of your own money down. It's incredible, right? Another model that I use is to try and find an investor with all $130,000 to put up front. I then split that $38,000 profit at the end with them half and half, since they were willing to partner with me and trust me enough to fund the entire deal. I am making $19,000 instead of $27,000, but I didn't have to find 2 lenders, and I didn't have to make monthly interest payments or put money down up front. I prefer this method because it takes away some of the risk of flipping and allows you to build cool relationships for the future to make this more sustainable. Time required. Rentals require a lot less of your own time invested. Most of the steps required to get one involve other people working for you. A realtor or a wholesaler finds the property, a contractor might make some minor repairs, and then a property manager or yourself fills it with tenants. This whole process might only take 1 to 2 months, and maybe 10 hours actively involving your time. Flipping is much more time consuming and could be considered a full-time job, especially if you want to do 3 or more a year. However, it is definitely possible to do with a day job. If you could make $20,000 to $30,000 in profit every 5 months for only using your time and finding investors, would you do it? Here's how I did it. And I'm definitely not saying it was easy, but in the long run, it has been so worth all of the extra hours I spent investing my time wisely. It took me listening to 10 to 20 books, attending networking events once a week, which is where I found investors and deals, hours listening to podcasts, and many hours knocking on doors to find motivated sellers. All of this can be done for free, but it will take a lot of your time, like it did for me. Imagine this as another full-time job working 30 to 40 hours a week on nights and weekends. Maybe for a few weeks or months you have to put in 80 hours a week, but the payoff is much more significant than with rentals. The reason those investors are willing to split it with you is because you have the time to do all this and they don't, or they don't want to put in the 80-hour week. Properties that have big enough margins to make a flip work are also harder to come by, so it might take a little bit longer to find one. It took me a year before I found my first one from when I started learning, but part of that is because I didn't have the knowledge or the confidence to commit on a property. What do you think about this pros and cons list? Which one interests you more, renting or flipping? Comment below and please subscribe for more videos like this.